Hey guys, it's Megan and welcome back to my page. Most of you at this point, if you're here, know that I really like books, but I also really love movies, and it is so fun when those two things meet. So today I'm going to talk about the people we meet on vacation, the book versus the movie. All right, so let's dive in. And a little bit about me when it comes to reading a book and watching the adaptation. If I have not already read the book, I will not read the book until after I have watched the adaptation because I love movies and I also love books and I like to be able to enjoy them both, or a TV show. So I will wait and read the book if it's too close together. Like if I read the book 3 or 4 years ago and the movie's coming out, I'm not going to reread the book. I'm just gonna go see the movie and then maybe reread the book. But if it's something that's on my TBR and I bought it because I knew it was getting adapted and it was gonna be like a great movie, hopefully. We all cross our fingers with an adaptation, or if it's really buzzy, I may buy the book and then hang on to it until after the movie comes out. The main things that I noticed that were different between the book and the movie were locations. And that kind of tripped me up at first, right? Because Alex and Poppy meet at college. And in the book, they're at Chicago. And in the movie, they're in Boston. And at first I was like, oh no, this is like so bad. Like I was so worried that they'd gone off the rails. But I was like, but the movie was still so good. Like they could not have deviated that much. And I really quickly went, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where they are because the idea is the same. Um, that was kind of first impressions of things that were different. When we first see Poppy in the book and on screen, she's kind of having a bit of an existential crisis. She is the epitome of kind of what I would consider a 30-year-old. I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but where you're looking at your career and your life and you're second guessing everything. And like, we've all been there, sis. Where you're going, did I work too hard in my 20s and I didn't enjoy my life enough? Like, I think I've got everything that I'm supposed to want, but am I happy? Like, I loved that opening monologue of her like talking about going on all these trips and how great it is. And then the last line is like, and then I fall and die in the shower and I put the do not disturb sign out so they're never going to find me. Because I feel like as someone who travels a lot, legitimate fear. I used to travel a lot for work. And I never really used my do not disturb. But I could see that being a really big fear for somebody. So I thought that was really fun. Other big difference when we first see Alex and Poppy together is Poppy is an hour late in the movie meeting Alex to like go home to Ohio. They both are at the same school. They're going to drive home together, make life easy. And Poppy's an hour late in the movie. In the book, she's on time. It doesn't mention anything about her being late. So I thought that was a really interesting character choice in the movie to have her kind of like that free spirit of like, oh, I don't know what time is. I have no idea. I'm sorry I'm late. Like, I had to have breakfast. I had to get a burrito, which then she proceeds to eat and make a giant mess, right? So it gave you an insight into Poppy really quickly in that early scene with Alex of how different they are. Like, he's very, like, buttoned down and she was very not. So I didn't mind that change. I thought it was good for the movie. And that was kind of fun to see. But like I said, locations are hugely different. She's not going to Europe for the brother's wedding. It's in California. But same idea, right? It's a destination and she is really wanting to reconnect with Alex. And we know that something happened that they are no longer speaking and it's been a couple of years and we know that something happened. In the movie, it's in Italy and in the book it's Croatia, but it doesn't matter. Same idea, same issues happening. And whereas we're reading, we're starting to learn what the issue is. Overall, I was happy with both. I really liked the things that they changed. I really liked the things that they kept. I gave the book 4.5 stars or hot chocolates because last video I made, I realized that I said I gave it 4 stars and I should have said hot chocolates because I am reading with hot chocolate people. So I gave this one 4.5 hot chocolates. I would also rate the movie at a 4.5 hot chocolate, actually. I think the biggest thing that they changed was that the brother's wedding was not paid for by R&R. That Poppy tried to do it old school in the book and try to do it like their original trips that they used to take every year together and keep it cheap and keep it like impulsive and kind of fun. Whereas in the movie, it felt very Poppy, right? You're in the fancy hotel and like everything it should be perfect because you're using the company and using that kind of stuff. But the idea that nothing goes according to plan is still in place for both. We have no AC in both situations, both locations, hot as hell. It's going to be hot and sticky in the summer, and you get the same effect. So it wasn't a huge deal, but I thought they emphasized more emotional stakes, I feel like, for her, in the fact that she's trying to keep from him that she's paying for everything because she's trying to recreate those old feelings. And whereas that is not really the case in the movie. So I do feel like the emotional stakes were a little bit higher for her and for him in the books, but that's okay. It's easier to come across in a book, I think, than it is on screen sometimes. Without getting like too lost in the weeds in a script and trying to figure out how to make it all work. I did think it was really funny. I saw a thing on Instagram right after I watched the movie that was like, no, you don't need to text that person. Put your phone down. And I was like, fine, I'm not going to text that person. And then I was like, oh no, I'm going to text my Alex, my version of Alex. Because you do think about a lot of those like childhood friends, or like not even childhood, high school, college friends, that you always kind of go, should we have? Did we miss out? Like, am I living Poppy and Alex right now without the reconnection part? And so I thought it was funny because I immediately then in her like, girl, I'm not gonna do it. And then me going, I did it. Because that's exactly what happened. I don't advise it. Don't text them. Put the phone down. Walk away. Do not try to text them while watching or reading the people we meet on vacation. The one line that I sobbed about in the book was when Poppy is kind of wondering if Alex views their friendship the same way that she does, and I literally cried because I think that's a question that when you've lost contact with someone that you really cared about and were really close to, that you wonder that, and you kind of review everything and be like, man, did that mean more to me? Did that song mean more to me? Did that interaction or that thing mean more to me than it ever meant to them? And that's a hard pill to swallow. Let me tell you, folks, I sobbed, and then sent them a text. Probably sent him a text. Probably bad life choice. It's fine. He didn't answer, in case you were wondering. Everything's fine. Everything's great, Emily Henry. Everything's great. I always think about in romance books, like, who fell first? Because, there's always the he fell first, but she fell harder, or vice versa. And honestly, I can't decide who fell first and who fell harder because they spent so much damn time trying not to fall for each other that it's impossible to tell. I do think they fell for each other equally to some extent. They may not have realized it in the same moment that they fell for each other, but I think they both fell hard and they both fell first. And I don't know how you both fall first, but I think they did. But overall, I loved this story. I thought it was a great kind of coming of age story, an idea of, just because you don't get it right away doesn't mean you're never going to get it right, that you've lost your chance to get it right. And that idea of how do you keep your close friendships when you start introducing boyfriends and girlfriends, and like, are those friendships threatening to the significant other? Because in this book, yeah, they were, because these two were in denial of how much they loved each other, and everyone around them was like, you see them, right? You see them, right? Do they see each other? I don't think so. So that's why the relationships for our two characters, Poppy and Alex, did not work, because they were fighting against themselves. As far as casting goes, I loved them both. I think Tom Blythe, forever and always. I don't care if he's playing President Snow. I don't care if he's playing Feral Child number 5. I don't care if he's playing Alex. I just love him in everything. I think he just always brings a great energy. And I honestly have not seen Emily Bader in anything, and that's on me because I had Lady Jane on my TBR, and then after it got on my TBR, on my to watch list, and then it got canceled, so I never went back and picked it up. But the clips I saw of her in that were fantastic, so I was not at all stressed. I think she did a great job of making Poppy, quote unquote, too much, but also just enough. Because I identify with Poppy listening to my headphones, like singing and dancing around the airport and being like, Am I singing out loud? I probably am. It's fine. I don't care. I'm never gonna see these people again. Because my friends and I, when it first started, we were very like off put by Poppy. And I think you were supposed to be. You were supposed to like be like, girl, what are you doing? Like you're being so much right now with the tacos all over the car or the burritos and the singing in the airport and just being kind of like not self-aware is meant to make you uncomfortable. But I love that at the same time, I was like, but girl, she's just being herself. Like she's just in her world and we're just living in it and we're going to come around to it. Because for the first couple of minutes, my friends and I were like, oh my God, she's so annoying. She's late. She's loud. She's all those things. And you're like, but you know what? I am also very loud. And I often am like dancing or singing to whatever's in my headphones, even if I'm not singing out loud. So right on, Poppy. Rule the world, girl. Rule it. I do think a really big missed opportunity for, again, those emotional higher stakes that were in the book. Spoiler alert, I should have said that a long time ago, is Alex getting a vasectomy after Poppy's pregnancy scare. That is not in the movie, and I think it really should have been because he didn't even talk to the girl he was dating. He didn't even talk to Sarah about it. He just did it because he was thinking, what if I cause that stress to Poppy? What if we do get together and I cause that stress? And I don't want to be responsible for that stress. Or maybe that stress for Sarah. I don't know. But I thought it was a really interesting thing that they didn't put in there that really kind of raises the stakes and shows you how far he's willing to go if he thinks it's going to help in the long run with Poppy. So I feel like that should have probably been in there still, even though it wasn't, because I read it and I went, what did bro do? Okay. So yeah, I think they should have left that in because it does kind of raise the stakes. Sarah, not a big deal in the book or in the movie. She kind of pops in and out and you kind of just know like, oh, she's not going to stick around. It's fine. Also great job casting Alfie, whose real name I cannot think of without pausing and looking it up on IMDb right now. As soon as he walked out on screen, I was like, this man is in everything. And I am here for it because he's such good eye candy and he can act. He just kind of like, you watch him when he's on the screen, which is always good. But I was like, bro, you know you're not going to get the girl again, right? Like, you know that this is not your lot in life. You are always the guy that doesn't get the girl, and that's fine. But I do love that actor, and I should look up his name and put some respect on his name. I'm going to do that right now. Please pause. Lucien, I think. Yeah. Lucien, that is who plays Alfie or Trey in this book. I always think of him as Alfie from Emily in Paris, but it is Trey in this movie. But overall, I think they did a really great job with this adaptation. I really liked and loved the book. Like I said, I gave it 4.5 hot chocolates. And I think that the movie did a great job. And I think the things that they changed were not that serious. Sometimes it's about filming locations. Sometimes it's about what you can get cleared to use. So like maybe Chicago was like, no, you can't use our logo. And Boston's like, whatever, do what you want. Although I did think it was really funny that they tried to tell us that like Louisiana was Ohio. As someone who lived in Ohio for like 15 years, as soon as they were like, this is Ohio. And I was like, the hell it is. Where are you? And then I was like, oh, it's probably down south somewhere because it was definitely not Ohio. But that's fine. Not a big deal. But overall, I really enjoyed both. I will continue to do page to screen adaptations. My goal is to do one a month. And that way I can get my TV fix as well as my book fix. And it kind of works hand in hand and kill two birds with one stone. I don't know what I'm going to do next. If you have any suggestions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll see if I already own them or maybe I've already read them and watched them and can do it on the fly. But I will continue this series. Like I said, my goal once a month. If not once a month, every other month. Let's be optimistic, though, that I'm going to manage to do it once a month. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the film version of The People We Meet on Vacation or what you thought about the book. Or both. Tell me both. Let me hear. I don't get hardly any comments on my videos. I get more on my shorts, but I'm not giving up on my long form. So you're going to have to bear with me. But give me some comments. Let me know what you thought of the book and the adaptation. All right, I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye-bye. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you never miss another video.